Faywhat Show, we want to introduce you to interesting people that are so important to our LGBTQ plus community. Today is no different. I am so excited about my next guest. So her name is Vanessa Parish, and like this beautiful bombshell just kind of jumped out at me, right? I was just looking through the news like I usually do, and Vanessa was just amazing. She was spotlighted on Queerty, right? And you guys know they are always doing like interesting stories about the LGBTQ plus community. And you know, and it was like, okay, yes, Vanessa's a pastry chef, right? All right, yes, I'm all about a queer, beautiful black woman cooking for me, right? So I'm like, all right, pastry chef, she's got my attention. Then I go look her up, and there's so much more to Vanessa Parish than meets the eye, all right? She's a mental health advocate. She's the co-founder and director of Queer Food Foundation, Queer Food Foundation. And she does a million things else, okay? She does panels, she speaks around the country. She just taught me a new word, by the way, nomadic. Now, it's not that it's the first time that I've heard the word. It's the first time that I get to meet someone to explain to me exactly what that means. Like basically, I'm going where the job is. I'm going where my soul is like just directed to, right? And that is what Vanessa's doing right now. So help me welcome to the Faywhat Show, Vanessa Parish.
Hello, thank you so much.
Hello, Queen. Thank you so much for being on the Faywhat Show. I love your smile. I love your energy. I love everything about you. Thank you so much. Tell us about Queer Food Foundation, Vanessa.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So Queer Food Foundation, we started it during the quarantine because as we all know, the restaurant industry had a huge like resurgence of, you know, flipping upside down. And we realized that like queer marginalized people we're getting cut first. We were getting left out in those conversations. So my co-founders were like, you know, we need to find a space for us where we can empower each other, we can find each other around the country and give each other support and also hold these companies accountable for what they're doing to kind of marginalize us even more.
Well, you know, and how important are queer food spaces right now? Okay, because I love that. Queer food spaces are your passion. Right? And, you know, with everything that's going on in the world against our community, how important are those spaces right now to you, Vanessa?
So when I think of queer food spaces, it's pretty much anywhere you eat, right? Food is everywhere. Queer people are everywhere. So you're talking about your barkeepers, your farmers, your sommeliers, anyone that has any sort of hand, people that you eat dinner with, you know, there's queer food spaces everywhere. So obviously they're important because food is a life source. So you're asking people that are handling your food, serving you food, eating with you to be kept in mind and treated equally in those spaces.
I love that. You know, one of the, we were talking before about how we were both in hospitality. I think, you know, it's always like not an easy, it's wonderful when you're able to go and work in a space where there's usually a lot of other LGBTQ plus folks there, yeah. You know? You know, it's interesting about how you go somewhere and you have somebody's food and you can tell when they put love into it. It's that extra spice. Mm-hmm. Right? It's that extra spice. And I think that us as Black and brown women, we're just like, you know, we grow up knowing that food joins people, food unites, you know, and you take it to the next level by making it part of our chosen family that's also nourished, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly.
So as a woman of color, I gotta,
all the time.
I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
No, please.
People ask us all the time, like, what's queer food, you know? And we tell them, like, queer food is exactly where it exists. Like, if there's a queer person around, there's queer food. That's it.
I love that. All right, so that's what, from now on, that's what I'm going to do. When I serve food at my house, I'm going to go, enjoy your queer food.
Yes.
I think people will eat it more and more yumminess, like every little morsel. Yeah, this little queer corn is really yummy. Yeah, this queer beef is delicious. Vanessa, so seriously, we're here in South Florida. We're in Fort Lauderdale. You've come here and we were talking about how hot it could be here. You know, people come and live here because of the weather. Right? But we have a horrible governor. We have a horrible governor who wants us erased and is thinking and, you know, makes LGBTQ plus youth think about ending their lives, okay, with some of his decisions that he has put upon us. You know, he's driving our poor children to unthinkable places, you know. What do you think about this? What do you think about that?
You know, I think it's very scary, but also kind of a reflection because there's a lot of people that are approving this. There's a lot of other countries, states that are also making their own legislation behind this. So I think it's a realistic approach to see like we are in danger and we need us each other more than ever to really come to bring these kids out, support these parents, support the legislators that are trying to fight against this. This is a call to action, and it's very loud and it's necessary. Even as a Black woman in Florida, they're doing a lot of legislation against Black people. So I'm in a really hyper marginalized space of intersections that are being constantly attacked. And so we're working with other organizations to find out how can we support these people? What do we need to do on the ground level? Because it is a crisis that it's happening.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's a crisis. I mean, it really is. Trans Day of Visibility and Trans Day of, Remembrance, they're both coming up, and they're two very important dates for our folks at home to keep in mind and make sure that you have on the calendar. I'm constantly screaming that the LGBTQ community have to unite, just like what you said, or we are in deep, deep trouble. Are people not listening that women of color, especially Black trans women, are being killed at an alarming rate? You know, Puerto Rico called a state of emergency last year, I believe, and then I heard nothing else. You know, what are your thoughts about that?
I do think it's very important to remember that Black trans women are brutally murdered and marginalized more so than any other population. And I think this is a really big opportunity for us to hold each other accountable. I think when we have these moments of crisis, we only split ourselves up. We think about, oh, we're just, you know, we're gay, we're not lesbian, oh, we're this, we're not this. When it's overall, if they come after one of us, they're going to come after all of us. And so we all need to, you know, put our asides and really take this seriously. If we have to protest in the streets like we did in 2020, then so be it. But we really need to support these people. We really need to support these Black trans folks because they're depending on us for survival in addition to what they're already facing.
Very true. So true. You're from North Carolina, and now, like I said, nomadic, my new word of the day. Yay, use it in a sentence, right? And now you're in LA, you know, and I know that you're moving around constantly because you're being called and pulled. And, you know, I come from the world where I believe that if you're busy, it's because God needs you in a lot of different places, okay? And you just have to show up. So thank you for shining. What are the big differences between Raleigh, right? Where you Raleigh, you were in Raleigh, North Carolina, and LA for a Black queer woman that could also cook her ass off?
Oh my God, it's night and day. You know, I would say when I left about almost 10 years ago, it was almost like an escape because the food industry, just the state is a red state. You know, they say it's a purple state, but it's a red state in a lot of spaces. So I wasn't, I faced a lot of fear being out. I faced a lot of fear going to Black spaces. You know, sundown towns are still a very real thing here. Klan rallies are still a very real thing in North Carolina. So going to LA, where there's kind of a dystopian view of any of those things happening. Like I had friends that did not believe that that is where I grew up or those things were even happening in modern times. So it was freedom for me, but then people didn't realize like this is still happening. These are people that are still experiencing this today.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy though? I mean, I think, you know, me and my wife constantly are having that conversation. Like, are we in crazy world? Because I feel like we're taking 3 steps back every single time we turn on the news. You know, when Roe v. Wade was overturned last year, I was out there on the streets protesting like a crazy fool, right? And what I did notice with that was that the G was not there protesting with me, you know? And I was kind of like, I felt let down about that. You know, and then my second thought was exactly what you said. If we don't unite, we are in deep, deep trouble.
And I think that's a really good point you make, that some people forget that even within us being a marginalized space, there are other folks in our community that are not marginalized in other spaces. So, you know, as Black and brown women, we have a lot of intersections where we are constantly attacked, and a lot of other folks are not in those same intersections that are attacked. So they don't really see a full scope of the dire need of that advocacy.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, and it all boils down to, honestly, Vanessa, is education, you know, because for me, I'm constantly learning. You know, we were talking about the women's panel that we did last week and that you've also done your own women's panel. You know, I'm 11% Nigerian, but you wouldn't freaking know unless I told you, okay, by staring at my white face. OK, if I don't open my mouth, I might be treated differently than you would. You know, and these are things that people need to be aware of. People need to be more educated of. You know, I learn from my Black trans friends and sisters all the time. The unlearning process is sometimes even harder than the learning process.
I mean, language is key. You know, power of education is key. Ask more questions, get better answers. Also, ask questions outside of your own little subgroup. I think that's a big thing that people forget about, is that your little community is not a representation of the world.
Amen. Yeah. And the more that we shine like yourself, and the more that we tell our friends and friends of friends, and we take away that stigma, then I think the world could be a better place, but we're so far from there. Let me think of something fun, because I'm getting agitated, right? It's like, there's just always so much. There's always so much, right? Yeah. Yes. Are you single, Vanessa?
Yes.
Wait a minute. There was a hesitation there. Like, let me check my Tinder. No, like what?
Are. Like, how they are. Like, it's just such a thing.
What is it? I think that they invented, remember when you would put, I think it was on Facebook, where you would put, single or whatever, or you would put, it's complicated. I think that they invented that for us, for the lesbian community, because it's always freaking complicated. Yes. It's our best friend that used to be our ex, that used to go out with our sister, but we still like and we still hang out with.
Yes. Literally,
right? We laugh because it's true. If folks at home, all the lesbians that are watching this are like, yeah, basically, yeah, that's us. Okay, so you're single and you're a chef. What would be something special that you would cook for a first date?
That's a good question. I try not to go overboard, because some people just don't know how to cook. And so I was making omelet. People are like, oh my God. I'm like, it's just an omelet. But I really like to make something that's kind of an homage to me. So anything really Southern. Like I'll make smothered pork chops or mac and cheese, chicken and waffles, those really traditional Southern foods that people love, cheesecake, just so people get a sense of like who I am, where I'm coming from.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Because, I remember going out with a girl once. I can't cook to save my life. So like I ordered the food and then I threw it like on a plate and pretended that I made it.
I am the person that makes the food for my friends to put on their plates.
I love you. Oh my God. If I ever move to LA, you're going to do that for me too, for real. But so I remember doing that for a girl, and she wouldn't eat in front of me. Like, she had issues with eating in front of people. And I think that that's just such a sharing moment when you're able to break bread with another human being that you don't know 100%.
No, absolutely. I mean, like I said, food is our life source. So if you can't break bread and eat your life source in front of people, then I don't really understand that. This is a moment of time that we're getting able to sit down, nourish our bodies, and enjoy each other's company.
For sure. Well, needless to say, I never dated that girl again. I took my fried chicken and I had a really good evening by myself. Okay, so you gotta tell our audience about your connection with the divine, the incredible Miss Rihanna. Tell us how that came up. Yes, girl. So, you game changer, you. I'm telling you, I stalked the crap out of everything that you did.
No, it was a tremendous honor. They emailed me and I thought it was spam, because like people just be sending random emails, and I was like, I'm not gonna listen to this. But I saw the domain, and the domain was the same as the website. And so then I started like doing some sleuthing, and I was like, oh wait, these are legit people. Let me email them back, And so it kind of just went from there,
That's incredible. Incredible. And when I was stalking when I was researching, I won't call it stalking, when I was researching, I was just like, okay, I know that you had competed on the Food Network and you had done a couple other things. And I'm like, man, she should do pup food, because like you saw my dog, like I am all into dogs. And then I saw that you were with Mario Lopez making frozen dog treats.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How was that?
Oh my God, he's so sweet. He's so sweet.
Are those dimples really that freaking deep?
Oh yeah, yeah. He's real. Yeah. I'm like, my family, all that watch Saved by the Bell, they were just like, oh my God, so it was so fun working with him. He's got such a great energy. And then I also made some dog biscuits, like dog cake with BuzzFeed's Tasty too. So I think that's actually where they found me, from there.
I love that. I love that. So Vanessa, Pride's coming up in a couple of months, and just like now you guys in LA have your Hollywood Pride. Now you have your WeHo Pride also. So you've got a couple of Prides coming up. So do we here, and it's a big deal. You moderated the panel. This is where I was going to tell you about the panel. More than Pride Month, more than merch.
Yes.
That was the panel that I was thinking about. Tell me about that, because that always comes up. That commercialism always comes up. Well, we're happy that Target has a whole entire section of some Pride memorabilia for Pride, but really, we don't see you all year round aside from June, May and June. So tell me your thoughts on that.
Okay, so, well, rainbow capitalism is a thing. We talk about that. We get frustrated with it. Rainbow all over Target, So it's kind of a duality, because there's also little kids, in Florida that's their only way of peace, is to see that little stand in Target to know that people are supporting them. But yes, rainbow capitalism, that's why my foundation, we do a campaign called Queer All Year. So if you work with us in June, we expect you to work with us year round, or we're not going to be associated with you. We really hold people to that standard. So it's more of an encouraging of, queer people need your money. They need your support all year round. We don't need you to disappear on us. And we need to be celebrated for each other year round. So true.
So true. Vanessa, I don't usually tell girls this on a first date. I mean, on a first conversation. But I really do love you. I adore you. I think that you're just simply incredible. What's next for you, Vanessa? I saw that you were featured. I told you on Queerty. And I mean, you are representing us everywhere, so beautifully. What's next?
Okay, so what's next is, the foundation is my baby. So what we're doing coming up this summer is we're going to be doing a nationwide queer food festival. So we've got some top cities that we're going to be joining, having big food festivals in their parks. We're going to bring out some queer food entrepreneurs, businesses, community organizations, entertainers, and we're going to have some big parties during Pride Month and all the way throughout the summer, and it's going to be great.
Oh, it sounds completely fantastic and amazing. And if I can get my brown ass over there, you're going to see me like this, like, it's me, it's Faywhat, I made it.
Please come through.
I would love that. I love that. Please make sure, folks, to follow Vanessa Parish on all social media outlets. We need to support the women who support us. We need to raise these incredible women up to where they belong to be, okay? And girl, you need your own show. Just to let you know, like, you need to have
from your lips to God's ears.
Listen, girl, my wife says I can manifest shit. So let me see. Manifesting Food Network.
Please.
Manifesting Vanessa Parish. Manifesting. Thank you, Vanessa Parish, for being on the Faywhat Show, darling. I love you. I adore you. Make sure that you follow her on all social media outlets, and you keep shining, queen.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really grateful.
So, did you enjoy the show? I know you did. So make sure to click subscribe so you won't miss any of the events, news, or interviews right here on the Faywhat Show. Ring the bell at the bottom of the screen, right there, so you'll be alerted every time we're live. You can also click on the Happening Out Television Network logo so you can see all of the shows on the most diverse LGBTQ+ media network. Find out just what we're doing to bring the L and the G together right here on the Faywhat Show. Get the week started with me.